Hi and welcome to another video on UiPath with me, Jeppe. In this one we're taking a look at what are called multiple entry points. And that's a feature that has been in UiPath Studio for a while, but just last week it also found its way to Orchestrator. And that's great news. So let's get to it. So if we take a look inside a simple project that I built in Studio, we can see here that I have 4 different processes: addition, division, multiplication, and subtraction inside of a project called calculation functions. And then we have, of course, our main SAML file. And historically, the main SAML file has been what is invoked when you run the process or activate the package. And you can right-click any file inside of your project here and set that to be the main file, so that this subtraction is now the one that's being activated by default when running this process. And you can see that the subtraction SAML file is now highlighted in a bold font, and that's how you can see which is the main file of the process. Now, you can also see that it has a little green arrow on it, as does the original main file. And that's because these are set to be what are called entry points. And entry points, well, they've existed for a while inside Studio. And what they are, well, points of entry into the process or into the package. But the only way you've been able to activate these entry points are from within other projects. And you haven't been able to do it from, for example, Orchestrator, or for example from the app builder on your cloud platform. So a couple of activities have been able to make use of these entry points so far, and that's the run parallel process and the invoke process. And if we just drag in an invoke process activity, we can see here that we could give this a name, and that would be whatever the name of the process set up in Orchestrator would be, and then the name of the entry point. For example, it could be not main.saml. So this way you could deploy a package that had multiple entry points activated. For example, in our case, the multiplication, the division, the addition, and the subtraction file. So this project could have 4 different entry points, but you haven't been able to use these really except through like an intermediary invoke process call. And while that can be helpful, it's also a little bit of a problem if you want to pass arguments back and forth to a process that has multiple entry points. But as of, I think it was March 29th of this year, 2021, that is a thing of the past, because now you can use it inside of Orchestrator. And let's have a look at that. So we are going to delete my main file here. And all we're left with are these 4 calculation function files. So what we'll do is we'll publish this. And we can see it published successfully. Version number is 104. I've tried this a couple of times in advance. And if we now go into Orchestrator, we can see I have nothing set up in here yet. At my tenant level, if we go to packages, we can see that there's only one package. That's calculation functions. It was deployed just a few seconds ago. And if we now go into our folder, into processes, and add a new process, we can select the package called calculation functions. And over here on the right, this is what's new, is you can select the entry point that you want to use. Now, I only activated one entry point inside of our Studio project. So right now I can only select this subtraction entry point. But we'll continue on, and we will call it just that. And we will just click create. And now we have a new process called subtraction. And we can see here in the overview that we also list which entry point is being used. So let's jump back into Studio and expand a little. So we right click, for example, the addition SAML file and enable that as an entry point. And we'll do the same for the other 2. So now all 4 of our files are enabled as entry points. And if I click publish and jump back into Orchestrator, we can now see that there's an update available for this package. We'll select to upgrade it to use the latest one. And now we can see that it is using version 105. And if we go to edit the process, we can now see that the other entry points are available. So what we can do, instead of modifying this one, is we can create another one. And we'll use the same package, but we'll use a different entry point. And we can see here that this is actually configured correctly, because this has the correct arguments in order to perform an addition calculation. But we'll continue on, call this one addition, and click create. And now we have 2 processes, one called addition, one called subtraction. They're the same package, but they're different entry points. And this can come in really handy. And one thing I'm looking forward to is building apps using multiple entry points, because if I have an automation or a library of functions that I need in order to support the functionality inside of an app, then it's really a hassle if I have to deploy a new package for each of the functions that I want to call from the app. Now I can build one library or one package and then have a number of entry points in that, set up a number of processes for those entry points, and then from within the app's designer, I can select which entry point or which process is it I want to call. And that's going to be really, really, really nice. I hope this gave you a little bit of an insight into what multiple entry points can do. It's a feature that has just now become available in Orchestrator. In my Orchestrator, it just popped up yesterday. So you may not see it in yours yet, but it is being rolled out as we speak. So I'm actually working on a new apps video. So subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, because then you'll be notified when that video comes out. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe. Thanks.